Oh my goodness.
The one of one is missing.
I knew something was up.
Pop that's almost twice as much going for the same price.
I just freaking love that rated rookie logo.
Doing more buyings.
Which one of these 5 quarterbacks has the worst set of pass catchers to throw the football to?
Guess how much I sniped this for an auction?
Number to 5, you dirty animal.
I'm telling you, these optic on-card autos are money.
Football cards collecting and investing. His name is Andy. My name is Carter. Would you take Cam Ward, number 1 overall, Mr. Kaysen?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's a consensus. And I mean, if I'm just going to go with the consensus here, I would take him number 1 overall, especially if I needed a quarterback.
But do you believe he'll follow the line of some of the other number 1 overall quarterbacks and be a good NFL starter?
Yeah, I mean, that's that's $1 million question there, man. I do. I mean, if you look at the rest of the guys in this class, I'm definitely taking him over Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart. So yeah, I mean, this is my draft class to get my quarterback for the next 4 years. That's where I would put my money.
And what's interesting about his card market, Andy, is he had a Bowman first out in 2022. So he's always had some hype. And that card is him in a Washington State uniform. And then, of course, he eventually did make his way from Incarnate Word to Washington State. And then what he did last year with Miami, and his Bowman first refractor autos are going for roughly $100 right now. I thought, when I looked this up this morning, that it would be a little bit higher. But it's very interesting for a quarterback going number 1 overall to have first-ish, rookie-ish kind of autos in that hundo range.
Yeah, no, that's definitely low. And maybe the hobby is going to be a little bit more reactive
Maybe so.
to this pick, especially if he does go number 1 overall. You got to think that the car, based on historical data like we saw last year, I mean, you got to think these cards are going to get up to that $200 to $300 range.
And then you see the thumbnail image. You have to balance these rookie quarterbacks potentially with some of these veteran guys. And I'm interested why you wanted Sam Darnold to be on the thumbnail today.
Well, I mean, I think the move to Seattle, if you look at the guys that have already signed, like between Justin Fields, you gotta think that Sam Darnold had the best season last year, which could kind of, I mean, he's kind of like on the edge. He's on the precipice of, does he go forward and progress? Because he kind of fell, a little bit back last year in the playoff. And so he's like right there on the precipice. I think has the best opportunity to make a huge leap forward, but also can step backwards. And he was one of the most, demanded guys early in free agency from the move.
Interesting. I'm interested in what's going to happen with Cooper Kupp and JSN myself, along with that offense. I think it could go disastrously, but then again, I am a bigger Clint Kubiak believer. I think his offense does become quarterback friendly if you get enough from your offensive line. That's obviously going to be the big case in Seattle. Can the guys up front protect? But let's take a few questions. We saw to Terry, Matthew, Steve, James, and the entire Football Card Quest Nation. Downtown Relics 2 says, would you sell a Jayden Daniels Prizm Silver PSA 10 considering how low of a pop it has?
For the right price, you got to consider selling anything. And, that's one of those things you could have regrets after Jayden gets a ring in year 2 kind of thing, But, with the increase in Jayden Daniels market, it just exploding due to the new Topps unlicensed products, I mean, I got to think of Silver Prizm PSA 10. I mean, if Carter, if you're getting, let's say, $2,000 for that card, would you sell?
Yes, because I'm looking now. The last one sold in a buy it now for $14.75. So if
Yeah.
I'm getting 2K for it, I mean, raw, that card goes for roughly 300 or so dollars. PSA 10, it floats around that 1,500 range. But yeah, I mean, it
That's
does have a
huge.
low pop, but it does seem like there's quite a few copies that are selling on eBay. I will say the card is very aesthetically pleasing. And another thing is I actually like the flashback 2014 rookie Prizm design, where that card is going for a full grand less than the actual PSA 10 silver Prizm rookie. Here's the thing, Relics, about that card that's very good for yourself is there's always going, and I don't know why this is the case. It's just one of those things that is the case. Andy, silver Prizm PSA 10s, even though they're not numbered and all of that, they are always liquid. People always want that card.
Yeah, especially if it's the base photo variation of the
Right.
set, it's hands down one of the most liquid. It's the gold standard in the football card hobby, and they really made that iconic back in 2016 and 2017. And that's the gold standard. As long as Panini holds the NFL license, and they're making licensed team cards, yeah, that's going to be the gold standard. It could eventually be Topps Chrome Refractor and Topps Chrome X-Fractor. If you go back to before 2016, if you look at like the 2013 year, that's a super iconic 2013 Topps Chrome Refractor. Go look at Matt Stafford's from 2009. I mean, that's a really, really nice card. That could become the gold standard once again, but right now it is the Panini Prizm Silvers. And that $1,500, Carter, I mean, that's really good. That's really good, man. I mean, if you go and compare that to Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, I mean, you're kind of right in line, and those are way more rare. And then you have Patrick Mahomes, which is typically in that $3,000 to $4,000 range. So it's like, yeah, I would take the money too. If I'm getting $1,500 to $2,000 for that card that you probably pulled out of a pack and paid $30-$40 to get it graded a PSA. I mean, but if I spent $1,000 on it, now I'm going to hold it and I'm going to look at it as long-term investment, hoping that Jayden just continues to revolutionize the NFL.
Yeah, I think, Andy, a lot of people will be selling Jayden over the next couple of months because they fear what happened with CJ Stroud last year, that there would be some type of a drop off. And the funny thing was CJ really didn't drop off terribly. There was a lot of things around him that just did not go right. The offensive line was bad. Bobby Slowick started to get figured out. And of course, you had the Tank Dell situation. You had Diggs getting hurt. You had Nico Collins getting hurt. I think all things considered, Nico played. I think CJ played well. I really do. But there was so much of his stuff that's getting graded, and you also have to factor in. Yeah, your PSA 10 silver Prizm Jayden Daniels will have a low pop. And it probably always will have a low pop because silvers can be a very volatile grade. But there's still a lot of people like our guy Matthew here sending theirs in as well. So it might not be as low a pop as you think it is.
Population 92, Carter. To be precise, the early data here from that we're pulling from PSA and the slabhawk.com is 13%. That's raw to PSA 10 conversion rate. So that's really low. Not what you want to see there, which makes the PSA 10, if you're holding the PSA 10, then it makes it even more valuable. Not what you want to see if you got a raw card, because your chances just lowered. Let's look at the orange disco here, another popular card. 35% raw to PSA 10 conversion rate.
Oh, nice.
Low. Yeah, 35%, a lot better, but still low. Let's look at the red Pandora Prizm from, or not Prizm optic preview out of
Right.
Donruss this year. 65% raw to PSA 10 conversion rate with a pop of 1,009.
Let me see. I got Slab Hawk pulled up as well. What the silver prism for Lamar what's his PSA 10 rate? Let's see.
Lamar Jackson in 2018 silver Prizm. Let's take out Jayden because Jayden's just selling so much in the past 6 months here.
Okay, I got it pulled up. I want you to give it your best guess.
Oh, you want me to guess, huh?
What is the Lamar Jackson pop count PSA 10 silver prism?
I'm guessing it's a pop count around 1,000 as well. Maybe a little
29.
bit.
It's
What happened?
29.
29. See, that's how rare that 2018
Right.
Prizm is. And then the grade rate, I'm going to guess, is probably around 30%.
16%.
16.
God, dude, 4K for that card is so you pull it up on yours. It's 3750 for a PSA 10.
For a PSA 10.
And that is a lot for that card. It's an iconic card. This is actually my favorite Lamar pose on any card. But yeah, man.
Grade chasing. That's all grade chasing right there because look,
Yeah.
PSA 9. I mean, yeah, the card's really rare, but the PSA 9, this is what they're getting most of the time. 100 pop 102, and it's going for less than 1,000. So you got a huge 300 to 400% increase between the 9 and the 10. And you don't have that between the raw and the 9 or the 8 and the 9. It's just like a double in value, which is still good. So that tells you how hard it is to get a 10 from these raw cards.
And then I'm looking at Josh Allen. His pop count is 26 for a PSA 10 silver prism. So
rare.
Dude, that is insane. I thought it would be higher too, for being honest. But look at that, dude.
So hard to get.
Yes.
Good Lord. Good Lord. And see, his 9 is not that far off of Josh Allen's. I mean, they're almost neck and neck, but his 10 is just so rare. It's almost hard to set a price on it. I mean, one sale this year, 5,900. That's how rare the card is. Golly, it's a grail card. So they, and I think they definitely have taken advantage of that and increased the print runs in recent years on the silver prism. But I mean, it's still the gold standard. That's why the retros that they try and bring back, the whether it's the 2012, 2014, or the photo variations, they never do as well as the base photo variation silver prism. And sometimes you even see that the card does better without an auto than it does with. Like this 2018 is going to do better because they actually took the rookie card shield off of the card when they added the auto.
I will say this. If I had a silver prism of any of these guys and it's like decent quality, so if I find like a Kyler Murray silver prism, I would go get it graded. I really would, because it's just that card. I don't know why. I'm not a huge silver prism guy. What's the so this is insane. So Patrick Mahomes, click that. So this shows you why pop counts are so important. 969. That is the same price as what Josh Allen's are selling for, less, if you will. But there's only 29 compared to 969, and obviously it's the base versus silver prism thing. It's so fascinating to me.
Yeah, and in the playoff time period did get up to that $6,000 range. You could see a few buy it nows, 6,000, 6,500. So they are down after being knocked off finally. But it's still wild how and that's it. 10 times higher pop count on Patrick Mahomes So, there's not as much grade chasing on this 10. It just balances out, between that supply and demand a little bit better. It's just, and that's why getting $1,500 for Jayden Daniels right now in the year of 2025, Carter, is fantastic. And I think you do got to sell it at that price.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, and I don't think you absolutely have to, but that it is ridiculous that his pop count has already tripled for the same card for Lamar Jackson PSA 10. But dang, it's just absolutely freaking sane. But yeah, Silver Prizm, if you pull one and it's a rookie, fresh pack, give it a quick look and send it off to PSA. I really do recommend it. And then we get Jared Goff.
Yeah, you get more excited about that than pulling, a red cracked ice or a disco prism. Yeah, I'm really looking at, Derrick Henry still trading for more than or Jared Goff from 2016, but I wanted to see the data on Derrick Henry, even
Dude, look at that.
30% conversion rate from raw to PSA 10, pop of 391, still selling for a few hundo.
Wait, so am I reading this right that there's only 29 Josh Allen PSA 10 Silver Prisms?
Yeah.
And there's 391 for Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm about to go to actual PSA site. I don't believe that. I've never actually looked at that. I really want to know if that, and I love Slab Hawk.
Go verify it. Slab Hawk, I know the developer well, and he pulls the data right off of PSA's website. So it should be accurate, but please, yes, somebody fact check it.
Yes. If I will Venmo somebody $1 right now if they were to go.
But I'm pretty sure we've looked at that a long time ago, and it is accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. And once again, if you want access to the site, I use this site all the time, slabhawk.com. It's all a part of your patreon.com/football card experience. Just click the link down below, patreon.com/football cards, and you get to be a part of Andy's Discord. And guess what? On live streams, I'll always cover your first month for free. So go sign up for the $6.99 tier, and I got you. And then before we get into another kind of modern topic, did you see the Mike Evans Select 1/1 auto PSA 10 is up for sale? Did you see that, Andy?
No, I can't talk about Mike Evans right now.
Why?
I sold my best Mike Evans card.
That red one?
Not intentionally. I forgot I had it listed and sold it for $440. I had it listed much higher than what I bought it for and everything, but I had it priced thinking I would never sell it, and just a guy just bought it outright.
Okay,
I've already had to mail it out, but he's a super diehard Bucks fan. Like, I got to talking to the guy in messages, and shout out to Tampa Bay Bucks fan 93, proud new owner of a beautiful Prizm Mike Evans out of 35 Prizm rookie auto.
Look at this, man.
Let's see it. Tim says again, yeah, he remembers when I sold that Tom Brady red cracked ice, and let's see it.
All right, so share my screen.
Oh, I got to remove mine.
Okay.
There we go.
Look at that. And a PSA 10 as well. That is a sick card, man. Select.
That is a sick card.
Back when Select was really Select.
Look at that. No interest in paid in 12 months with PayPal credit. This could be yours today, Carter.
Look, $45 off. Shop and save. Well, if I bought it, I would just give it to you.
Yeah, I know. I was really using you as an example to buy it, but I'm thinking about getting it myself.
Looks like there's some white on that corner. How can that be I'm just kidding.
Hey, I don't care if it's white on the corner inside the case. It says 10 on the label. You never want to crack. That's why you never want to crack a card like that. I mean, that would be absolute insanity if anybody even chips that case.
Well, I know I follow a Mike Evans collector on Instagram, and he cracks everything and puts everything in a one touch.
Are you
So
for real?
yeah, if he
Even
were to,
10s?
yeah, even tens. If he were to buy it, he would crack it. I find and he randomly collects Mike Evans and Kobe Bryant. Those are his two people.
Is
So
it because he's got them in a special case that won't fit a slab?
I don't know. I don't know. I would prefer my card to be in a one touch oftentimes, but if it's in a PSA 7 slab, yeah, I'll put it in a one touch.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty good hobby tip of the week. I didn't have a hobby tip of the week, but I'll steal it from Mr. Hoodad. Go over your listings. Never ever forget what card you have listed. I know life gets busy.
Yeah.
I do it every year. Before the season begins, I do a purge of a bunch of cards that I ask myself, do I really need this card? And I will put it up for sale. So basically, when I do that, I go through and I look at all my listings and I say, is this a card that I really want? Is this something that really needs to still be in my collection? And as time moves on, I move a lot more stuff and put that money into other cards that I would turn myself into liking. So there you
Yeah,
go.
I'm gonna have to turn this into something else that I like. And I'm excited to for it to go to a good home, super fan, and then to recycle that into something else really cool for the collection and for the flip game.
Let's go to Roland Artery. He wants to talk about the Chargers, Najee Harris. The addition. I love this fit for Najee Harris. Holy crap. I can't quit drafting him. I freaking love me some Najee. I understand he's not a breakaway artist, but he is going to be a hardball type of back. And I could see him having quite a few 20 carry games next year. And Najee, in every interview, he seems pretty fired up about going to LA, where he's from originally. So I love me some Najee Harris, and I'm talking myself into some long shot Charger Super Bowl odds.
It's not a bad idea, Carter. And as a running back, this is where I think that it makes sense that this is the type of market where you really just want to prioritize on the rookie autos. If you look at the silver Prizm in this case, base, you still be able to get that for $5 raw. You could probably pick it up for under $50 in a PSA 10 condition. And that's like, I would say mid range for a PSA 10. Like you obviously Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, the higher ranked skill position players going for a lot more on that silver Prizm PSA 10. And 2021 is a hard year to get a PSA 10. But just looking at Najee Harris, he's been one of the biggest risers in fantasy ADP. And we know as right now in the offseason, when that ADP goes up, that hobby buying power or that hobby demand goes up. So the prices go up. So you can see a ton of additional sales here for Najee Harris on some pretty cool cards like this black Prizm green PSA 10 out of 49 for $150 that sold to buy it now yesterday.
That is crazy that even a few months ago you could get his Prizm silver PSA 10 for $25.
That's a good price to buy it.
Yeah, I mean that is very, very, very interesting.
He's gone up a lot, Carter. And this is why I wrote, and it's actually cooled off here, I would say in the last week or so since the news released. If you look, I wrote him up probably a couple months ago for Patreon members, and for this reason, because I knew he was going to be on the free agency block. And it just didn't make sense for the Steelers to re-sign him. The guy's in his prime. He's like a bell cow right now. And so this move to the Chargers is like the perfect landing spot. And his ADP as a result has gone up a lot. You can't stop drafting him. and people can't stop buying him. So he's going to be one of those guys like going into the national at the end of July, and everybody's kind of looking for him from a skill position standpoint. I wouldn't be surprised if like his base rookie ticket autos get close to or above $100 again.
Whew. Keep Trucking says buy all the mini cards. Let me know what you. I don't know. I don't know anything about. Well, what are mini cards?
I remember when I was a kid, mini cards were a big thing. I don't know if you remember like your dad getting full sets of the little Topps Chrome, gold, mini cards. I mean, they were a big thing, and I've got some mini cards today. I just don't like them. Like when I get a mini card out of what's that set in the beginning of the year? Legacy. Yeah, the set Legacy that comes out early in the season, like before the season, you get mini cards in there, and they're like a chrome stock mini card. They're cool, but I never see them do as well, especially for players that are ultra hot, as the full size card. To me, it's kind of a gimmick.
I got a few of these like 96 NBA mini cards. So yeah, I do like vaguely remember it. They would be you could rip them apart. They would be what's the word I'm looking for?
Perforated, like
yes.
a little perforated.
I was trying to think of that word. Perforated. But yeah, I like that. Let's go to Arturo talking about my man crush Drake Maye. Pulled a red and green optic preview of Drake Maye, but it's hard to comp with the pinks out there and the other colors. But I haven't seen much pull good optic preview rookie QBs.
Yeah, that red and green optic preview is an iconic card because that's like their go-to color parallel out of optic preview for years. It feels like if you go back to 2016 and find that, I would say in certain cases like Drake Maye right now is probably pretty good. It's going to sell for a little bit more, especially if it grades out well. I think it's going to do better than the pink. You're looking at. I would look at some of the other guys. Look at Jayden. I'm sure there's sales on, and just kind of use that ratio of Jayden's or Bo Nix's to price out your Drake Maye.
We get a Caitlin Clark question. Oh yeah, I love me some CC and Angel, but I don't know much about the WNBA card market. I do know someone made a flip out that Caitlin Clark's Prizm silvers are like $350, and you can get Angel Reese's for like $5 to $10. I'm like, man, I kind of want to go buy up some Angel Reese silver Prizms if they're $10 out the door. It's a pretty good deal. Downtown Relics wants to talk about Bucky Irving, Andy.
Oh yeah, he's great. I mean, I still hold some really good cards of him. Very excited about his future. I mean, he's a stud. He's going to put up some highlight reels that are going to have people turning their heads and being like, "Holy cow, this guy!" He kind of makes look like putting up 1,500 yards pretty easy. With his efficiency, and he's not the biggest physical player, but man, the elusivity of him, and just how he can get squeezed through those tackles and generate yards after contact and spin away from defenders. I mean, he is slippery, man.
Yeah, I got a message from someone that watches the show talking about, my Bashul Tootin call. His stuff has gone up, and I appreciate all the love on that, but that's why you should be a part of the Football Card Patreon and listen to when we go live, because look, I'm going to tell you about Bashul Tootin. I'm also going to tell you about Cam Skattebo. I am a Skattebo believer at the NFL level, and part of it is because of the same thing with Bucky Irving. Andy, what did they say about Bucky Irving? Why did he slide down so much? Well, they said because he didn't run a ridiculous 40-yard dash. That was why. Cam Skattebo is not that type of back. But he reminds me of Bucky Irving in a way that if you actually just sit down and watch him, you're like, okay, the guy is actually just good at football. And Skattebo, he won't ever have the elusiveness. That was a word you were looking for a minute ago. The perforated elusiveness of Bucky Irving. But Skattebo just makes guys miss. That is the hardest freaking thing to do. And I understand the guys in the NFL are better at bringing down guys, but Cam Skattebo is as good of a running back I've ever seen when it comes to making guys miss. So I am a Skattebo believer. And in some ways, he's kind of flown under the radar because he's not one of the elite backs in this class. But outside of Ashton Jinty, there was not a better running back in all of college football better than Cam Skattebo, and he did it versus tougher competition. So I do believe Ashton Jinty is the best back in this class. I see the vision with the Marion Hampton and Caleb Jackson. But I saw what Cam Skattebo did last year, and I still think he's going to be a good NFL running back.
Interesting, man. He's kind of his best comparable player on Player Profiler is Jay Ajayi, 5'10", 219.
He's better than Jay Ajayi. And Jay Ajayi was good. Jay Ajayi was a good back for the Dolphins and Eagles. He was good.
Yeah.
But I'm a Scatta freaking Bo believer.
Well, I like that profile. I mean, that's a high. He's 89 percentile on bursts. So I mean, that's a sign right there. I've seen guys in the NFL before that have a high burst, but don't do well in the 40-yard dash, but still have that vision, because there's a lot of vision required as a running back, right, Carter? You know, being able to see what the defense is giving you, and you already know what your line is supposed to be blocking. So finding those holes and getting those yards after. And it looks like he's a good receiver as well.
Yes. I there is nothing that man can't do. He's just not is not going to have the top end athleticism. But
look at that, man. Bowman University Chrome Silver first for Cameron Skattebo, $12.99 sold 2 days ago. I mean, that's pretty good, man.
Now, and if you don't mind me talking about a new partner with your boy, I want to tell you guys about Fast Draft. Download the app today. Use my promo code Carter. Fast Draft Best Ball Fantasy. These drafts fly by. Literally 5 to 10 minute drafts, and you can win thousands. And the best thing about it, and the reason why I'm going to do a ton of these drafts, Andy, is because I like rookie prospecting. I really, really, really do. It eats me up inside, Andy, that I allowed that 40-yard dash narrative to get to my head with Bucky Irving last year. I should have been in on Bucky Irving. But the thing about it is Fast Draft, if you are a good rookie prospector, you can make a lot of money on there. I'm going to give you another rookie deep cut. Mason Taylor is a good football player. I think he will be a tight end that could play a lot in year one. So Fast Draft Fantasy, please go sign up. Use our promo code Carter. It helps the quest, helps all of us out. Well, helps me and Andy out. But there you go, promo code Carter.
Promo code Carter on Fast Draft. I'm signing up right now, brother. I'm really excited to test out this app. This looks really fun, especially if you can get drafts, and you can probably finish a draft in 15, 20 minutes?
Yes, if not.
Oh, man. And so it's Cam Skattebo and all the rookies are already on the board.
Yes,
and able to.
They do rookie-only drafts, and it's not position-specific. So there's like multipliers. Just download it. You'll have fun. And my favorite thing is the app's UI is the best I have ever used. Like everything in there is just so clean. So Matt Kelly, player profiler, it's a big thing. He's behind all of it. So shout out to him. I've actually never met Matt. You don't know I'm giving him some love. But Fast Draft.
Carter, is there a minimum deposit I should make for like a bonus or
$50? You get
$50
a $50 match bonus. So
nice.
Obviously draft within your means, but it's a lot of fun. I love doing the rookie drafts because I love trying to find that rookie in the that diamond in the rough. So the guy that won it all was the guy that scouted out Bucky Irving and was able to get a ridiculous. He got Bucky Irving in like the 5th round, and that is ridiculous. So if you get a player of that caliber, and we all know Bucky Irving now in regular drafts is a 2nd or 3rd round pick. So let's get to a few of these hot takes. James says he does not think Kansas City will make it to the playoffs this year. Andy,
Wow.
I don't know about that. I really don't. I wouldn't do that. I will say this is the hardest the division has been, though. No doubt in my mind. During the Mahomes era, this is the hardest division it'll be. The Raiders have the best young player in the division with Brock Bowers, and they get a huge quarterback upgrade. The Chargers with Harbaugh, we know what they're going to do, and we know the Broncos are going to be really good. Now, if you want to say, James, that you think the Kansas City Chiefs don't have a top 2 roster in their own division in terms of roster talent, yeah, I can hear that out. I would say the Broncos probably have a better overall roster, and I would definitely lean into the Chargers potentially having a better roster, even though there's holes in that defense, if you will. But if Patrick Mahomes is cleats on the ground, he will never not make the playoffs. So it's just not going to happen. It's just too hot of a take, James.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to make playoffs.
All right, it's time for Hobby Tip of the Week.
Well, I want to go through a couple questions I've had on the channel I think are pretty interesting here, Carter. So the first one is from B. Hushins 05. Well, no, sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. It's Keaton Payne 7409. He wants to know, how do price guide values, he gives the example of Beckett, influence the price you list a card, taking into account whether or not they are hyped players or expected to be sought after. Basically looking for advice on how to list a card using or how to price guide cards like Beckett, which Beckett, I mean, they haven't had Beckett card guide since that I remember since I was a kid, man, since the 90s. But I'm guessing they still put out a magazine with prices in it. I don't know how close or accurate that is to eBay's sold listings or not, man.
Yeah, I would mostly, and it is a fun debate. There are quite a few people, Andy, that want to have an honest conversation, and we could do it right now, about eBay comps. It's becoming a thing at card shows where people are talking about comps, and it's driving dealers insane. Comps are always going to exist, and they do serve a purpose. But here's what I would say about any type of price guide that you use. Don't try and lecture other people that this is the price, okay? If a dealer has his cards listed way too high, then don't deal with them. Now, it's that simple. But comps, Andy, what are your thoughts? Because you've been to a card show more recently than me.
Yeah, I mean, comps are important to understand, so you're not completely off. But people that take the time and invest the money to set up at card shows, typically you're going to negotiate with you. They're there to move. So I think a lot of times it's good to know, so you're not offering $100 on a $400 card. That would be egregious and would make you look disrespectful, or you just don't know what you're doing. But if you know it's a $400 card, then you offer $300 or $350. Now you're in the ballpark. So that's why comps are important. Like, Especially, I mean, take a look, Carter. We didn't know that the pop was so low on Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson at like 26. We were thinking, before we looked at how rare that was, I was thinking it was going to be more in line with what the Jayden Daniels is currently selling at PSA 10, at a pop 100. But that 5 times increase in scarcity, I mean, that put it in a whole different neighborhood. If I would have offered a guy $1,000 for that card, that Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson at a card show, he'd have laughed at me and been like, "You don't know what you're talking about, son."
All right. But yeah, you said you had another hobby tip. Go right on ahead.
Oh yeah, yeah. So going through a couple more of these questions. This comment was interesting, Carter, because something we talked about in ripping boxes just a couple weeks ago on 2024 Prizm. And his comment had a different take on the Prizm fat packs. This is from Collector's Edge 22 3 weeks ago. As far as ripping goes, I can agree with you for the most part, with the exception of those Prizm fat packs. At $16 a piece, you get a silver, green, 3 red, white, and blue, an insert, and a base rookie. He's bought 12 fat packs, and he's sitting at a 30% profit per pack so far this year. And that's not including the 4 Jayden Daniels that are off at PSA.
Interesting.
Let's see if I could. Yeah, so I mean, he's making a lot of profit on those Prizm fat packs. I don't think I realized, or the 2024 rookies that I'm holding for possible 2025 breakouts. He said you don't get big money cards, but enough to make a few extra bucks to pay for grading of the better ones. From there, of course, there's some big chance. So I appreciate that nugget of information there. Collector's Edge 22, a lot of experience with those Prizm fat packs at $16 a piece. Those are definitely a buy if you're getting a silver, a green, 3 red, white, and blue, an insert, and a base rookie. I mean, that's pretty incredible for a $16 fat pack. I mean, it's almost like getting a blaster box, Carter.
Let's go. So look at Don. Don says he's pulled a Jayden True Silver.
Ooh, there you go, guys. And I remember seeing those on blowoutcards.com for a decent price. And just with the upside that you have in Jayden Daniels alone, not to mention Bo and Drake and all the other guys, Caleb Williams. It's like we don't even talk about Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams. Sorry, Brad. Brad's out there fuming. When are we going to talk about Caleb Williams? But yeah, man, it's just a lot of upside. So definitely keep your eye out for that.
Don, let me know if you're going to send it to get graded. Now, Andy, I do have a hobby tip of the week, and I want to share my screen. And let me know if you can actually hear this guy. I want to play just a small bit of this clip. So if you can put, let's see. I actually know this guy really well. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And here you go.
Need room. Y'all ever heard that? I need room on it. Cool. Me too, bro. Who doesn't want room on their purchases? You think, I would love to pay 100% because I don't plan on selling it. I want to save 20% as well. Like, you need room. Like, and I get, like, if somebody comes up and they're like, hey, I need room on this, I can do 80%. I'm like, okay, cool. Can I buy all your stuff for 80%? I need room as well. If that's your reason on why you need, because you need room, we all want room on it. Why does the collector, the person who likes it and doesn't want to get rid of it immediately, have to be the one that eats the bill on it? That is not and has never made sense to me. So if someone asks for room, again, I'm not against that. But if I turn around and say the exact same thing and you immediately shut that down, I think I'm good. Like most, unless you have a card I really want and you're the only one that has it, I'm good. And that is the quick way to do it. The quick way to find out if you're like, hey, what are you buying at? 80%. Okay, cool. Do you sell at 80%? Can I buy from you at 80%? And so that's another indicator. And again, they don't have to agree. Like say you're like, no, I'll do 90. That way I have more. I get that. But also how you respond to that tells me a lot about you. And not that you have to give me the right answer, but it's your tone and how you say it and how you realize how you come off. That self-awareness, I appreciate and respect. Third red flag.
Andy, I hate it too. That is the worst. I have always, and I know Tyler, I don't know him well. We've texted back and forth a few times. Great hobby account, by the way. More of an NBA guy than NFL, but still. Andy, I hate those words. I need room. Dude, I freaking hate it. Hate it. There's very few things that have resonated with me.
Yeah.
Or am I overreacting when I get triggered
Well,
by the words I need room?
I think it's become like you know, you just it's a poor way to communicate. You know, you
Right.
got it's become like this. I don't want to say cliche, but it's almost like you know, a click word. But I don't think people should be using that at all because it's never. I don't think it's really in very unless you're dealing like it's me dealing with you. And I'm like trying to be funny and sass by saying and being sassy, and
Right.
I know you that well, and I'm like, I need room, bro. I need room. I mean, that's not going to work. I mean, you got to actually talk to these people, get to know them, explain to them why this car is so important to you, why it justifies getting 20, 30% off. You know, find a white corner, find a dinged up edge. You know, maybe it's your favorite player. Maybe it's your favorite parallel. Maybe this is the missing piece you've been looking for 18 years, and I finally found you. And it's like, you know, you got to bring out the compassion in people and like really get to know them, and then you'll get the room that you're looking for.
Mm. Let's go to Chris. Chris has been showing a lot of energy in the chat today. I love it. Tim O is in here. Let's go. And Annoy. Tim's become one of my really good friends through this channel. Chris says, I need room and the dreaded, sorry, man, I'm into it high. I just can't sell it at a fair. I don't mind the second one because I feel sympathy of people saying, well, I'm in it for this. I feel a little bit sympathy towards that, but the I need room is just you need a room? Well, go to the freaking Best Western and sell your damn cards. Go there. Go to the Motel 6 if you need a damn room. I freaking hate those words. I freaking do. Okay.
I've actually never heard it, so
You've never heard? You've
no,
never
I haven't
heard?
gotten. I haven't got it. I need room yet. So
Oh, dude, then yeah. Well, I've not been to a card show in a while. I heard it all the damn time. I was shocked. You were at the National with me, and you were making a ton of deals, and
yeah,
you
it did make.
never heard.
I guess I just picked good dealers, and
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
one guy was really short and rude with me, and he was just like, "No, we don't buy cards like those." And I was, I was like,
I,
it was
I,
like, you know,
I prefer that than I need room. I
yeah,
would
it was something, yeah.
I would prefer you spitting in my eyeball than if I heard I need room. It's just so condescending, right? It's like it's I understand the hobby's a business, but it's a roundabout way of you just saying, I just care about this for money. Okay. Uh, but part of it, and Chris follows up with a really good point. Part of it is you have to sell at a loss from time to time. You just do. You just do. I sold some of my Jameis Winston cards. I'm glad I kept some of them. Hopefully, he's the next second coming in New York with Malik Neighbors. But it is what it is.
Well, look, Carter, this is why football cards are the top, you know, intra hobby within the greater hobby, right? Of all the different genres of cards, football cards, I think, are the best because you have the most amount of players available for speculating and prospecting. You have a lot more chances to get spikes out of different cards. So I think if you were to just focus on football cards, you wouldn't you're not going to have as many losses than if you were to have a bunch of different genres as well because of the amount. So
Right.
it's I mean, because like 88 freight keep trucking here is asking what players are hot nowadays. We could literally sit here and go through a list of over 100 players that have had, I would say, at least 20 to 50 buy it now, sold today on eBay. that are all active players. I mean, in fantasy football, we're tracking on the average draft board about 300 to 330 players. And I mean, that's like a 20-round draft of 12 teams. And, so there's still players on the draft board that somebody's going to be like, that's a sleeper right there. And that guy might end up having a game like a Taysom Hill or somebody else. They've only got 20 different rookie cards. They go up like crazy in value for a small period of time. But there are people out there that owned them and had them listed, made a ton of money, So, I mean, there's guys like that aren't even getting drafted. I mean, so it's like there's so many players we could talk about that are hot nowadays. And that's why a lot of it gets focused on the newer player, the rookie, second-year player, third-year players, because less people know about them. And therefore, when people do find out about them, they go up like at a higher percentage, a higher rate.
Right. And look, as far as which players are hot, quarterbacks are always just going to, run things. But look, if you were able to pick out some of these RBs that have hot starts, what about the one Jordan Mason? I will never forget the Jordan Mason era. Now, you needed to sell during that ridiculous period where his $5 rookie ticket autos were going for $150, but it
could happen again though. Jordan Mason's still very young, could happen again. Jerome Ford was a guy that I made a ton of money on. Like I bought a Jerome Ford gold shimmer Prizm off of Instagram from a guy for $30, Carter. And then he goes out and breaks on a Monday Night Football, puts up 150 yards. I think it was 2 or 3 touchdowns when Nick Chubb went down. So it was not only people thought he was going to be the starter, he also had a good night on primetime football. Ended up selling that car for like $250 after that game, man. So it just had like the price. I remember sharing it and the guys were like, can't believe you got this for $30. And I'm like, yeah, it was an Instagram deal. If I found that on eBay, I think the best I've seen like on something like that is like $50 to $60. Right. But that's the thing. Like if you network and you get to know these other guys and dealers and guys that rip a lot of packs and they're only looking for certain players, become their friend, and they are likely to cut you deals on players that they don't really know much about, and you can get them before they break out like that.
Yeah, Terry, the link to the Patreon is down below. I think I posted one in the chat as well. Patreon.com/footballcards. Please go sign up today. We see how Vescovi is in here. That's a day one Patreoner. Our day one football card quest. Good to see you, man. He's going crazy over Justin Fields. I'm serious when I say this. There is no team that has won free agency quite like the Buffalo Bills, because how in the world do the New York Jets think Justin Fields is the answer to their problems and giving them the contract that they gave him? They actually do believe it. He's been benched by 2 teams in a row. 2 teams in a row. And the Jets say, yeah, that's our guy. To compete in the same division as Josh Allen and Drake Maye?
Yeah, so Justin Fields though has a lot of upside with his legs, and I feel like the Jets feel if they can coach around his strengths with Aaron Glenn, then it could.
Oh, so you're a believer? You're a slight believer.
Well, I think because their new offensive coordinator, I'm brain farting on his name, but he was the former Lions passing game coordinator, wasn't he?
Okay.
And so I think that's where Justin Fields struggles. So if you can actually strengthen that part of Justin Fields' game and get him to get the ball out quicker and go through his reads quicker, while also, maintaining his scramble ability, then all of a sudden I think you can have a really dynamic offense, and you've got some great playmakers on the Jets. And it's just a matter, I think, of putting together the right game plan for them. So I'm really optimistic about the Jets offense this year.
Really?
Yeah.
And I want the Jets to win. I feel for Vescovi. I do. I feel for Jets fans. But come on, Andy.
You're not
Let's
you're not
be
buying
adults.
it.
No, come on. Let's be adults here. Let's be adults. You really, Chad. Please, can someone back me up on this?
There we go. Yeah,
Is there a Justin Fields? Are there some Justin Field truthers in the chat? I mean, Andy, I'm shocked that you're a believer. I'm the one that had him as a QB1 in that draft class. I just don't see a path forward. I just don't. Even with Breece Hall and a good offensive line and Garrett Wilson, I don't know.
Yeah, Tanner Engstrand's his name. He was the last 2 years he's been the passing game coordinator for the Lions, and so he's been under Ben Johnson. And I mean, if he's gonna make a name for himself, it's gonna be designing a game plan for Justin Fields to succeed. And this may be the missing key that Justin Fields hasn't had. Because think about it, he went from the Bears under that run heavy, like really poor play calling until hopefully, I know Bears fans are thinking this year, Ben Johnson. And then he goes to the Steelers where it wasn't exactly, they brought in Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator. Mike Tomlin wants to limit what they're doing on offense and play defense. He just wants to win games, and maintain his legacies at this point. So I'm basically looking at it like Justin Fields, I think, needs to be in a system that just has a lot better play calling, and he might actually be more consistent and do something with his career here.
I'm literally floored. I guess I just don't see it. I really, 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 really don't see it. That's why, I say the Bills, because I still think the Patriots are a year away. And the freaking Dolphins, I mean, who believes in the Dolphins at this point? It seems like there are quite a few people that have jumped off the Mike McDaniel wagon. But I don't know.
It's Tua, man. It's Tua. I'm scared to watch him. I'm scared to watch him. I guys get scared to watch Tua, man. And it's just a lot of volatility with that offense. I do think Mike McDaniel's honeymoon period is over now, and that's a struggle bus, man. That team's a struggle bus.
Interesting. All right, Andy, it's time for play of the week, and I'll let you go first, brother.
Yeah, so the more I've liked talking to you about Justin Fields, I've convinced myself that this is actually a really good play. Especially on some of these cards that I'm finding for him, man. The prices right now are pretty low, especially on like this graded base tier, like this green Prizm PSA 10, $56. I mean, that fits perfectly with the Jets. The color match does. And so that should be the new best color parallel for Justin Fields. And we know how hard the Prizm is to get a 10 from 2021. For $56, that's a buy. That's a snipe all day. Like that card, I could see easily going up to $150, $200. And hey, maybe it's not Justin Fields actually putting together 3 games in a row that are good, but it's just hype heading into the season, with a starting job. So we haven't seen that since his Bears days. He didn't get that last year. There was, most people knew that Russell Wilson was going to be starting, and it ended up he got a good start, but Russell finished the job, so it took over. So
interesting.
I'm convinced myself of this, and yeah. I mean, look at that. Mosaic stained glass Justin Fields, $150. That's really low. Well, wait, let's look at Trevor Lawrence real quick.
No, the price is tempting. I'm with you on that. That it is a really good price for.
You think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a better year than Justin Fields?
I would like to think so with the Cohen, but I mean, price matters.
Look, the business decision that Liam Cohen made, I get, but he has ability for sure. So I think they're going to have a good year, but you never know what happens with injuries and stuff. Trevor Lawrence is another guy that should overperform his prior year's production. But I mean, honestly, I look at Justin Fields' first 3 years and Trevor Lawrence's first 3 years, and I mean, I'm not sure which one wasn't better. I think from a highlight standpoint, Justin Fields is probably better, but Trevor Lawrence probably has that better consistency, and he made a deeper run that one year, although they fell apart in the playoff game against the Chargers.
All right, my play of the week. It's a weird one, but I have a tough time believing that Rashid Shaheed isn't still going to be good next year. He gets the same QB where he was balling out with Derek Carr. They kind of fit each other's skill set pretty well. And I am not 1,000% convinced that Chris Olave, who to me is more of an injury risk, even though Shaheed was out for the year with an injury last year. I don't know how much better Olave is than Shaheed. I do think he is indeed better. But Shaheed, obviously, his market is weird with only Sage rookie autos. Those go for $5, like every single time. So with his market, Select is like the only licensed team uniform thing that he has at all from his rookie season. I still believe in the talent. I really, really, really do. So once again, it's a little bit different, but I still think Rashid Shaheed, the way he was performing before he got hurt was ridiculous. I know these autos aren't fun buys, but his select stuff in general, like the actual graded select stuff, is expensive. But it because of the rarity. But I'm still a believer in Shaheed. I'll be purchasing some of these autos, even though they are small school, non-licensed autos.
Well, I think it's a smart move. I think you should get these graded, the autos or the selects, Carter, because he's got so few cards. I mean, if you can turn his market into more of a graded market, I think the people that get the 10s are going to, be doing a lot better. So I think that's a really good add-on to this play.
And I have one more play. This guy, and I didn't expect this, but this guy is the most popular player on Power Hour NFL. All right. Outside of Jayden Daniels, who's number one, and then number two, Patrick Mahomes. Those are the two most popular players, Chiefs and Commanders. But on my NFL channel, Andy, it might shock you that Joe Milton, on a per video basis, pulls more views than any other quarterback that I break down. He's got people out there that truly believe he is a big-time NFL starter. And let's be honest, his preseason stuff last year was really good. And his Buffalo Bills tape from a few months ago in the final week of the season was superb. It really was good. But the Bills load managed that game. Their playoff seeding was already locked in. Josh Allen took one snap. Andy, I would be lying to everyone if I said that I thought Joe Milton was an NFL starter. There are a lot of caveats to what he's done in the NFL up to this point. I would sell on the news if somebody were to trade for him. But as you can see, his autos are kind of tasty.
Very cheap, man. Absolute with the quad patch out of 49 for 70 under $100. This is Prizm draft picks, but still silver rookie auto with the rookie card shield, $58 yesterday, or this gold ink origins with the pro uniform, serial numbered out of 25 for $94 in auction yesterday. I mean, it's a matter of starting job, Carter, because this guy's got a cannon, man. And that's interesting. I didn't know he was the most He had the most clicks out of all the
Yeah,
guys in the film study.
when I do Joe Milton videos, they crush. Everyone could go look at it yourself. I'm not Brett Coleman over here, anyone big. He's good. Well, Joe Milton's good. He's just not great. He's not an NFL starter caliber quarterback. The teams he was going up against were backups in the preseason and versus the Bills. But look, let's use Dominic Davis, who ironically shares a name with one of my favorite LSU players of all time. Dominic Davis is truly in the camp that Joe Milton is better than Drake Maye.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'd have to see it in a sustained period, and that's the big thing about speculating on football cards. If either one of these guys could sustain a starting job for the Patriots and win games, so that's like a very important factor for quarterbacks, and win games, they're going to go up in value. Obviously, you got more upside in Joe Milton, but Drake Maye's a starter with a more proven track record, and he's got more merit. And Carter, you broken down the film. I mean, Drake Maye has got a lot of promise. There is a lot of promise there for him to be a Josh Allen light type quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and people like Joe Milton. He's a very affable personality, and he's got a freaking bazooka. He has the strongest arm I have ever seen. You can mention anyone. You can mention Ryan Mallett, Jamarcus Russell, Brett Favre, Michael Vick. Joe Milton has the strongest arm I have ever seen from a QB. Okay. But man, that auto is sick. With the orange pin.
It is, but people hate on the 00 jersey.
Yeah, it looks bad. I prefer there just not be a jersey number at all with the 00. But you played at Tennessee. That orange pin does look nasty.
Yeah, it does look nice. And that card went for under $70. I mean, here's the auction. The Panini Black. Here you go. Here's a good set. You got a good pro pick here. $60 rookie sticker auto out of $249. $60 sold by it. I mean, that's pretty cheap, man. That's pretty. But he's a backup, So it's that's where it's going to stay at until he gets a starting job. So ask yourself also how long you want to potentially hold Joe Milton. How much collection value does he have to you?
Put up Freight Train. Drake Maye in the chat. Freight Train.
Freight Train.
He's one with the. Is that Trevor Lawrence and Jar Jar Binks? It is. That is so funny.
Oh man, I've never drawn the similarity before, but now I have, and I'll never be able to forget it. Trevor Lawrence could be Jar Jar Binks.
But yeah, let's go to Don. This is an interesting question because I've seen a few of these Jayden Daniels Color Blast cards, and they're filthy, but they're not licensed, so I can't really get behind it. But how do you feel about Prizm draft picks cards that aren't licensed, but in many cases have the rookie card shield? So for those that don't know, these are college uniform cards, but it doesn't have the LSU logo on it. You're used to that with Topps with football, but now with Panini, what's weird about it, Andy, is like the Texas players have their, I believe, licensed stuff on there, but not LSU and a few other schools.
Really?
I think so. I might be totally off on that, which is kind of weird. But
I wouldn't be surprised, I wouldn't be surprised. They probably have individual contracts with whatever license they hold. So it's like they probably wanted too much money and they couldn't afford it or something. I don't know. Or maybe they're with Fanatics, and so they're on certain teams. Schools are on Bowman cards now, and certain teams are on Panini draft picks.
Yeah, it does look a little like I don't mind so much if it's Leaf because I'm just so used to Leaf not having licenses, and a lot of my stuff is Leaf, so I know I'm biased. But these do look strange, Panini non-licensed football cards.
Well, but it's got a rookie card shield, so I think that definitely holds some weight. But we've seen time and time again the licensing when because the hobby it's a smart hobby, and they place value on the more authentic something is, and like, you know, the most authentic version of something is going to be licensed with that sporting organization. So to not have the team names and team logos it is weird, and it does put a hit on the value of the card, especially when there is team licensed, team logoed cards with some type of rookie card indignation on it, shield logo at the same time. You know, so if you could check those boxes with something else, it's always going to be worth more and would be a superior, I think, option to invest in as well.
All right, y'all. Fun show today. Lots of good energy in the freaking chat. I am buying your rare Jayden Daniels cards, but first I need to go rob a bank before I actually purchase them. But let's see. Okay, look at this from Space 99 Yak. It was announced today Under Armour is the official glove and cleat partner with the NFL now.
Nice. Congrats to them. They make great clothing, sporting apparel, all kinds of gear. I love Under Armour.
I met Kevin Plank at the Super Bowl.
Is that like the CEO of Under Armour or something?
Yeah. It was the most awkward conversation I've ever had with a billionaire.
What, did you know he was who he was?
That was the thing. Not really. I knew I recognized him from somewhere, and I was at the same place. And I remember watching an interview with him, and I just couldn't put a name to it, but I still went up and talked to him because I knew I was going to beat myself up because I love Under Armour. I just do. But yeah, I felt bad. I felt awkward after the fact because, you know, he's used to everyone, but not everyone, but people knowing who he is. I mean, him and Steph Curry and Tom Brady are BFFs.
Well, some guys like it when you don't know that they're famous. Like, I've heard some famous people talk about how they like it when people don't recognize them. They have better conversations with those people because they don't treat them like a famous person, you know? It's just
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe he enjoyed the conversation with you more than it.
Well, I could tell he did. I could tell he did. I think he was entertained that someone just walked up to him, and I didn't just walk up to him. I was at a little like hotel bar where he just happened to be. But yeah, that's he was cool. He was cool. So there you go. Go sign up now. Fast Draft. Use my promo code Carter.
I did.
And there you go. You're locked in. And
locked in, brother.
Don't forget Patreon.com.
Patreon.com
Patreon.com/footballcards if you want to join our movement. We'll talk to you next week, y'all. Peace.
All right. Peace, y'all.